Hello there everyone, it's me Harry, and today I'm going to do my PS1 game collection video. Haven't done a game collection video in a long time, but I felt like I wanted to do one again since I've been collecting some PS1 titles again. So anyways, in the video I'm going to show all my games. They're all going to be in their release date order as far as I know. I'm using PSX Data Center's website for release dates, but some of them on the site are not that reliable, so I changed them into what I think is the proper release date. So anyways, let's start off. So we're going to start off with, oh, and just to say, I did used to do these videos a long time ago, but I stopped doing them. I think I deleted all my game collection videos, or something like that, but I have no idea. So first of all, we're going to start off with Grid Runner, published by Virgin Interactive and developed by Radical Entertainment, the same company that later became a Call of Duty support studio at Activision. Released on June the 10th, 1997. It was also on the Sega Saturn and MS-DOS, as far as I know. So since it's an older PS1 title, it has a multi-language packaging. So it's got the German rating on it as well, ages 3+. It says it supports the memory card, but as far as I know, it doesn't actually support it. The US packaging's quite similar with what it said about the memory card being supported. And there's the disc. And the manual. Some of my games don't have manuals, but that's okay. Next up is something I've recently just re-obtained, and that's Test Drive OffRoad 1. Developed by Elite Systems and published by Eidos Interactive and Accolade. It's technically Accolade, but Eidos Interactive published it in the UK and Europe. This was released on July the 1st, 1997. And it's the first test drive game that was released after the third game in the series, and the first in the Off-Road franchise. A wild ride, ages 3+, for all ages. Chevy, so it's got Chevy, Hummer, Jeep and Land Rover, and off-road tracks, blah blah blah. But it says on the bottom, published by Eidos Interactive. This one's kind of hard to open, actually. Hang on a sec, I think I'll have to use both my hands, because, yeah, there we are. So here's the manual. Once again, it's multi-language. And then there's the disc, which is pretty shiny, but nothing much to say about it. Next up is the original version of V-Rally, developed and published by Infogrames Multimedia in 1997, and is actually one of the most common titles on the PlayStation in the UK, because the game sold pretty well in Europe. It was later released as Need for Speed V-Rally in the States, but then at the same time it was not received well over there. Well, at least Electronic Arts tried when they acquired it from Ocean, the distributor of the title. So it's got weather things on there. And then the disc has this checkered flag design on it. It's got the weather symbols on there, the Infogrames logo on an orange background, and Dolby Surround. Yeah, it's hard to control, but one could get used to it easily. Next up is Total Driving, or M6 Turbo Racing in France, or Dirt and Track 98, I think it's called in the US. Developed by Intutech and published by Ocean Software in 1997. October 1997. Yeah, 15th. So this is a racing game. It's the first from Intuitionex, however you pronounce them. It was actually part of a publishing deal they had with Infogrames, but this one's technically published under the Ocean banner. And it's one of the few games that supports the PS1 link cable, which I don't even know why that even exists, because considering that you could play with up to 4 players on a single system anyway, with separate games. And then there's the disc, which is basically just a yellow version of the front cover art. So yeah, pretty cool artwork if you'd ask me. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention for V-Rally, that also came out in July of 1997. Next up is Frogger. Developed by Sony Computer Entertainment Studio Cambridge and published by Hasbro Interactive in 1997. This game sold pretty well. I've tried to play it, but it's actually really, really difficult. Like, this is an example of a game where faithfulness doesn't mean good. The game's just too difficult at times. Even when you turn on the Infinite Lives cheat, it's still too difficult. And I do mean it. You'll struggle with it. So this one doesn't have the multi-language manual, because by then they started putting them in solely in English and having separate versions depending on the language. Like, they may include like Nordic languages as well, but most of the time they're just simply in English. So the disc has a picture of Frogger on the front, and you've got other logos for the companies. Yeah, it has Konami's logo, but they're just licensor. Hasbro was involved with the production and everything else. Next up is Test Drive 4, released on November the 8th, 1997. Yeah, I swapped them around, I don't know why, but anyways, Test Drive 4. This was the first of the game, the Reboots franchise. Test Drive Off-Road was a separate franchise. So yeah, developed by Pitbull Syndicate and published by Accolade in 1997 and distributed by Electronic Arts. Because by then, EA started distributing their titles outside North America, and later in North America itself. Beauty versus Beast. Because the whole point of the game was that modern cars were pitted against muscle cars, and you get 5 of each in the game, alongside some tracks. So here's the manual that says it's the English version. And then here's the disc. I actually had to buy the manual separately because mine didn't come with it. And I wanted a complete copy of the game. But even then, I still managed to get what I was after. And here's the front cover again, with a nice looking Dodge Viper on the front. Orbital younger 28s from soundtrack. So yep, it does have licensed music in it. Next up is Buster Move 3DX, developed by Taito and published by Acclaim Entertainment in 1998. This is a February 1998. So this is an enhanced version of Buster Move 3 on the Sega Saturn. So it includes more puzzles and more extra content. And it was later released in the States as Buster Move 99 on the Nintendo 64 as well. So it says 1 or 2 players. It doesn't say memory card, but the game does support the memory card. You can save your game on it, like with Buster Move 2. But I don't have that anymore. I gave it to my sister because it's technically her game. So here's the disc. And then on the back it has an ad for Forsaken, because considering it was considering it's from Acclaim, they tended to do things like that. They tended to advertise their other games on the back of the packaging. Next up is Lucky Luke, developed by and published by Infogrames in Multimedia in May of 1998. So this is a game based on the Belgian comic, and it was later released in the US as well, and on PC as Lucky Luke on the Dalton's Trail. This game is terrible. I've tried to play it, but it's just terrible. Like, why does this even exist? Well, not Lucky Luke, I'm meaning why does this game even exist in the first place? It just feels like a waste of license. Yeah, it's got Ocean logos, but this is technically an Infogrames title. The US release says it has memory card support, but this game does not have memory card support like what the UK release has. It just has passwords. Here's the manual. A bit damaged, but oh well. And then here's the disc. It's basic. You got Lucky Luke and his horse on there. Well, as I said on the packaging, you just have Lucky Luke with 2 blasters in a western town. So yeah, it exists. Next up is the Platinum version of V-Rally. I've already mentioned V-Rally before, but why I have this version of the game? Well, I'll tell you why. So the Platinum version, unlike other versions that were released as part of the range, is actually a separate version. And it says right here, exclusive Platinum features, new Toyota Corolla WRC 98. That was a car that was included in the US version, Need for Speed V-Rally. And it's also compatible with the DualShock controller. So yeah, they actually went as far as to make this an improvement over the Black Label version somehow. It's still the same game though, so there's not much difference. Other than in fact, the only really difference I've noticed is that music does not play in the menus, and the copyright date says 1998 rather than 1997. So here's the disc. So it actually has a different APN number, 2933. And of course, since it's a Platinum version of the game, it just has a generic Platinum label. And then there's the manual, which is once again multi-language. So this is still a multi-language packaging in different languages. Next up is another terrible game, Saban's Is No Good, developed and published by Microids in 1998. This was released in June the 10th, 1998. So it came out the same day as the Platinum version of V-Rally. I don't have the manual with this one. And it has a very vague back. It just says become Sultan instead of the Sultan, which is a reference to one of the lyrics in the Is No Good cartoon theme, because this is based on the cartoon. So it's got Saban and France distribution logos on the bottom. And then here's the disc, which definitely looks better than the game itself. The game, as I said, is not that good. Definitely shows how low quality some games really can be. And speaking of low quality games, here's Jeremy McGrath Supercross 98 from Acclaim Entertainment, released on July the 1st, 1998. So it's multi-language. It's got some copyright info on there, distributed by various companies, published by Acclaim, developed by ATOD. It's also co-developed with Probe Entertainment as well, but the packaging does not mention this. So here's the disc. It just has Jeremy McGrath doing a trick on his bike or whatever. Nothing much to say about that. Next up is Viper, released on July the 18th, 1998, published by Infogrames. This is actually a companion game to Tunnel B1, which I have on the Sega Saturn. They were both meant to be part of the same game, but... So Tunnel B1 is a first-person shooter of sorts, whilst this game is a helicopter simulator. So Viper was... So the helicopter simulated bit became its own game, Viper. So it's developed by Michael Botena or something, or whatever. So this was actually developed, I think, by one person. It kind of showed, because it's just a generic helicopter simulator or helicopter shooter. It's a bit like Chaos Control, another Infogrames title. Except this was actually developed in the UK. It was meant to be an Ocean title before Infogrames purchased the company. Supports the DualShock, so that's one good thing. It doesn't support the memory card, it just has a password system, but I'm not surprised why it has that kind of thing, because it's kind of suspectable. Generic disc with the Ocean logo on it, Infogrames logo on there. Next up is Snow Racer 98, released in July the 20th, 1998, I think. Developed by, I have no idea, developed by Pan Development, Power and Magic Development, and published by Infogrames once again. So this is a snowboarding simulator. This is a very interesting one because it does not have any save support whatsoever as far as I know. I've checked everywhere in the game, but it doesn't have any saving whatsoever. So pretty much all you do is just ski on and you barely do anything at all. That's if I knew more about this title. It has a multi-language manual. And then here's the disc, which has some silhouettes of some skiers and a snowboarding. So yeah, it's kind of interesting if you like snow or skiing games, because I have played a few of those and they're pretty interesting if you'd ask me. Next up is Heart of Darkness, released on July the 31st, 1998. This is the very last Ocean game on the PS1, although it's still an Infogrames title because well, that's kind of obvious. It's published by Infogrames and developed by Amazing Studio. So it's a cinematic platformer. It's similar to Oddworld Abe's Odyssey in a way, from creepiness to tone, to the tone in the game. Yeah, it's pretty difficult as well. Probably disguises itself from the short length of the game, but I've no idea. So it comes with 2 discs because of its cinematic platforming concept. So you have disc 1, which has the first half of the game, and then disc 2, which has the second half of the game. And it has been re-released many times. Like it has been re-released with a couple of other games. Like it was re-released as part of the Platinum line, it was re-released as part of Best of Infogrames, etc. Next up is Test Drive 4x4, or Test Drive Off-Road 2 in the US, developed by Pitbull Syndicate and Accolade, and published by Accolade in 1998. Released on September the 30th, 1998. Published by Accolade, developed by Accolade. So yeah, it's technically from Accolade, but Pitbull Syndicate did some co-development. Eat Dirt. So it has some of the vehicles that you can find in the first Off-Road game, but it mostly has some new vehicles. Featuring a soundtrack from Seven Dust, Gravity Kills, and Fear Factory. And it supports DualShock controller, so that's a plus, I guess. But yeah, I've heard that this is not a great game. But I have played it, and I'd say it's okay if you'd ask me. It is off-road racing after all. Next up is Test Drive 5, developed by Pitbull Syndicate once again and published by Accolade. Despite the fact the packaging says Electronic Arts, this is technically published by Accolade. So you've got, so it says bigger, badder, faster. It still once again pits muscle cars against modern cars, but it makes it more better. And it's got a soundtrack from Fear Factory and Gravity Kills, like with Test Drive 4x4 and a couple of other bands. And singers Junkie XL and Pitch Shifter. Yeah, this is an improvement over 4, but Test Drive 6 is the somewhat better game. And it's got the disc is very similar to Test Drive 4, but I don't know if that was what they were aiming for. Next up comes another Accolade title, Big Air Snowboarding. That's what I call the game because that was its original title. Released on March the 1st, 1999. Developed by Pitbull Syndicate once again and published by Accolade. So this is a snowboarding game that plays somewhat similar. I think it runs on the same engine as the Test Drive games. Once again distributed by Electronic Arts, and this was one of Accolade's last games before Infogrames bought them out. And nowadays it's owned by Tomo Inc., I think, alongside Big Air Freestyle, a GameCube game. Yeah, it's a fun game if you'd ask me. I do like, as I said, my snowboarding games. Next up is Asterix. Another PS1 PC title. It's called Asterix The Gallic War on the PC. And it's another European exclusive game. I do kind of forget what I'm talking about, but yeah, I am trying to rush this video. This is developed by, developed by Sorcery Development Limited, and published once again by Infogrames, because it is an Asterix game after all. Released on March the 15th, 1999. So this game is technically a real-time strategy-like game. Like, it does have some 3D mini-games, but it's mostly real-time strategy. So there you go. Let's open the thing. And then here's the disc. You have a couple of... It's basically just the front cover of the cover thing, so there's not much to say about it for the disc. Oh, the label came out. Why did it have to do that? Just gonna damage, it's just gonna bend the cover if it's not careful. That's what I don't like about my games sometimes. I just don't like the covers bending or something like that. Next up is Egypt 1156 BC Tomb of the Pharaoh, developed and published by Cryo Interactive on September the 10th, 1999. So yeah, I did used to have the first two driver games, but I've got rid of them now because I've got something else to replace them with. So published by Cryo, Canal Plus Multimedia, and the Reninian de Mazzini Nationalix. So the packaging is in... I don't know what language that is. I think that's Italian. Well, actually, it's multi-language. So you have I think that's German or Spanish. And that's English, because I think the French version has separate packaging, because this was originally a French game to begin with. Yeah, it's a typical Cryo Interactive adventure title. It's easy and it's got loads of educational values in it. And then the last game I show off in this video is The Smurfs, developed by Halayo Game and published by Infogrames on October the 6th, 1999. So this game is a, it's another licensed title. And it's basically meant to be a game made for really young children. So you got two different game modes. Piece of Cake, which is basically like free roaming. It's meant to be for very young children, where you can look after a baby Smurf as well. And No Picnic, which is a platforming game. So yeah, it's understandable. Pretty cool if you'd ask me. Mine doesn't have the manual, and I've had this game for a long time, but the cover is not in good condition at all. Yeah, it's pretty bent if you'd ask me. And then the disc is actually in multi-language. So it's got the Smurfs in its different languages. Les Schrotrops, the Smurfs, de Schmupfe, Los Pedifors, Epithe, de Smuffon. Yeah, and once again, I've completely butchered all those languages, so sorry, but still. So I'm going to stop the video here for now, and I'll get back to you in the next part. See you later, guys, and bye for now.